right, heroes. Can't wait to get live with you on here Fun Friday on the Curious Show. Today, hopefully I can answer some questions for you about Rosh, Hashanah, and Kippur. But any questions about Judaism, the Jewish people, Jewish traditions are considered kosher. So, welcome to the Jew Curious Show. And in just a second, we'll grab some Move juice here at Goldberg's Crystals here. And in just a moment, we will begin our Fun Friday broadcast here on the Jew Curious Show. If you are curious about Judaism, whether you're Jewish, not Jewish quite yet, or just curious about the Hebrew roots of your own faith, you are in the right place, and I am happy to answer whatever questions you have. We're advising you to jump into the chat here on Twitch, we're simulcasting on Facebook and on YouTube, but answering the questions live that are posted on Twitch. Get there to twitch.tv/JewCurious. How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry, I had the music up a little bit loud. Great to hear everybody on the Jew Curious Show. If you have questions about Judaism, whether you are Jewish, or not Jewish yet, but just curious about the Hebrew roots of your own tradition or working on becoming Jewish, this is the right place for you. And I'm delighted to learn with you today. Today especially, but not exclusively, if you have questions about Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, the upcoming high holy days, or some people say high holidays, 601, right? We're going to answer those questions. If you want to get your questions answered live, go to twitch.tv/JewCurious. If you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, I will answer whatever questions are posted at the end of the broadcast. But if you really want to get live with us, go ahead and jump in on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/JewCurious. Gonna go grab a cup of the Move juice and enjoy the music. We will be back in just a minute. What up? There's my face. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Jew Curious Show. We are here, in effect, for Fun Friday. I'm excited. It's coming up on the high holidays, y'all. Rosh Hashanah is 2 weeks from this Sunday night. Where the synagogue where I work in the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, we are gearing up. We are in full effect. We got a 2-week dead sprint to Erev Rosh Hashanah here 2 weeks from this Sunday night. So if you're in the Pasadena area, come check us out. But if you're not in the Pasadena area, we're working on some live streaming maybe for our services. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. In any case, this is the Jew Curious Show. If you are curious about Judaism, whether you are Jewish yet, not pressuring you, not pushing you. We don't like go around knocking on doors and saying, "Have you heard the good news about Moses?" That's not our style. But if you are interested in Judaism for whatever reason, you are in the right place. I'm here to teach you. I'm your friendly neighborhood rabbi, John Carrier, and I love to teach about Judaism because I really believe, just based on my own experience, that the traditions, the wisdom, the community of Judaism can give you a life of greater meaning, greater joy, greater human connection, and greater personal growth. And that's just what I've experienced, so I'm paying it forward, opening the door for other people just like people open the door for me. So if that's something you're interested in, you are at exactly the right place. But, we're also going to play video games together. So I don't know if you've never been here before, this is Fun Friday, which means you can ask me any question you like about Judaism, about Jewish wisdom, about the Jewish tradition. And I'm going to answer those questions. Got a little frog in here. Hold on 1 second. Got my Tom Waits voice on. It's dreamy weather. There we go. Drown that frog. So I'm going to answer whatever questions you have here live on Twitch while playing video games. That's what Fun Friday is all about. So I'm here having fun, not wearing my usual rabbi drag, you know, white shirt, black pants, that kind of thing. Got my Metallica shirt on today, just because I'm a fan. Sorry, not sorry. So in just a second, we're going to switch over to Super Mario Odyssey, which is the game that we're playing today. If you have questions, make sure you throw them in the chat here. I'm watching the chat stream on Twitch, so that's where I'm going to answer live questions. I see some questions in there already. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, still ask your questions if that's the platform you're comfortable on, and I will come back to those at the end of the broadcast. But I highly encourage you to check out Twitch, because of all the different live streaming platforms, this is the one that I've found to work the best. And it's really easy to sign up. It takes like that. It's like way easier than signing up for YouTube or Facebook. Sorry, YouTube and Facebook. Big fan. Loving the Twitch right now. So, and if you have a question that you throw into the chat, make sure it has a question mark on it, because that helps me see the questions that are out there, and I can answer them more quickly and astutely. I've got some great people here in the chat. I'm already seeing Ocean Threat 2. K Dixie, Speaker AJ, some good friends from past broadcasts, Nawa64. We got a great home crowd here. Also, like, if you're just watching, you want to lurk, that's fine. You do you. Just hang out with us, and I appreciate you. If you are brave and you want to jump into the chat, let us know where you're coming from. We are usually coast to coast and international on this program. But make sure, if you're asking a question, to, like, put a question mark on there, because it makes it easier for me to see. Let's see. I've got some great questions from Speaker AJ already. Playing by the rules, using question marks. Let's see. I have a couple of questions. I got a little bit of some bats in my belfry this morning. Been working on the bee pollen. Somebody gave me some bee pollen to help me with it. My allergies. Speaker AJ says, I have a couple of questions. If I have my own copy of the Moxor, is it cool for me to bring it in, or does that violate the no carrying rule? People regularly drive to this conservative synagogue, and I know people bring their own shofars, shofarim, shofarot, I think it's shofarot, on Yom Kippur, if it helps put that in context. So what Speaker AJ is referring to is that we have a traditional rule of not carrying things on Shabbat and on some holidays. And so, you know, if you're serious about not carrying, this is one of the rules. Like in the month of Elul, the month that we're in right now, it's customary to hear the shofar every single day, except Shabbat, because we don't blow shofar on Shabbat because it might encourage someone to carry the shofar on Shabbat, or specifically carrying one thing, carrying something from one domain to another, from a private domain to a public domain, or vice versa, or carrying it, 4 cubits inside a public domain. This is biblical stuff here, so we use cubits. But in any case, so some people are serious about not carrying on Shabbat or on Yom Tov, and that also applies. The exception is that on something like Rosh Hashanah, you are allowed to carry food. Rosh Hashanah and the Shalosh Regalim, Sukkot, Passover, Shavuot, you can carry food, and you can heat up food. Those are the exceptions from a normal Shabbat observance. But I'll say, like, if you're in a space where you are carrying your talit or carrying your own prayer book, and you want to carry your own Moxor, that's the special prayer book that we have for the holidays, if you're carrying stuff anyway, carry your Moxor. If you really want to be careful about not carrying, I'll say, if you're going to a synagogue and it's a synagogue that you go to regularly, leave it there. Go in before the holiday, say, hey, I have a shofar, I have a Moxor, I want to take advantage of these things, but I don't want to carry them. Can I put them around here someplace? And I don't know a synagogue that would say no to that. So many synagogues, I know people just like leave their talit and tefillin and all their stuff there, so that when they show up, they can just use it. They've got a little place parked on a shelf synagogues are usually pretty safe places to leave things without people, absconding with them. So I'll say if you're concerned about carrying, maybe you take your moxor, put your name in it so you know it's yours. Tuck it into a special corner that nobody's going to look for it. Find a little niche and leave it there. But there are people who will carry their talit, carry a moxor. It's one of the same as far as carrying is concerned. So some people will carry, some people will not carry from one domain to another. So if you're concerned about that, feel free to leave it there and talk to them and say, look, I'd really like to leave this here. Is that okay? And they will say yes, and you will find a place to put it that nobody will grab it accidentally, and then you'll be okay. So I hope that's helpful for you, Speaker AJ. Glad to have you here today. Let's see, Nawa64, definitely interested in the live stream. Got a bunch of subscribers today. There's something going on Twitch. I think it's called September, where should have taken the Mucinex this morning. Sorry, everybody, that's terribly rude. So if whatever questions people have about the holidays, feel free to post them here. I see a bunch of subscribers today. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Whatever you do to subscribe, if you subscribe, just so you know, you can experience this broadcast advertisement free. Some people get annoyed. They log into a particular show on Twitch, and Twitch will pre-roll an advertisement for some video game or whatever it is they're advertising that day. I know on Hulu it's usually like psoriasis medicine. That was like, is psoriasis that widespread that they constantly advertise that on Hulu shows? Twitch, it's usually video games because this is a video gaming platform. But if you don't want to watch those pre-rolls, if you subscribe, they don't put those on there. And it's like $5 a month. And in September, they're running a promotion called September, where I think it's like half as much. So if you want to subscribe to this program, a little bit of money comes our way, allows us to invest in equipment and bandwidth, and keeps the show on the air, and you get to avoid the advertisements. So check that out. Other ways you can help out. If you like something that we do, throw some cheer at us. Twitch has a way to buy these things called bits. You buy bits and it's like 1.4 cents per bit or something like that. And if we do something fun, just say, hey, here's 100 bits. Here's like $1. And we get a little bit of that. And again, it allows us to reinvest in this channel, buy more, buy better equipment, replace old equipment that's busted, like my preamp. About halfway there for that, but still working on it. And keeps this thing on the air, keeps this community open for the kind of great learning that we do and the great community that we're building. So thanks for that. I'm going to go into the chat, see what other questions we have. Let's see, got some great questions already from Speaker AJ. We got cheers for Ruthie. Thanks, Kay Dixie, for that. Going up into the chat. This is good radio. Ocean Threat 2 says not Jewish enough. I don't know exactly what that means. That's what I get for using my daughter's computer for this. Let's see. Kay Dixie says happy fun Friday from California. D. Willexon says shalom, Kay Dixie. KG Wilcox is here from Philadelphia. Shabbat shalom to all. What is going on here? Definitely interested in the live stream. Ocean Threat says not Jewish enough. I don't know exactly what that means. You're Jewish or you're not Jewish, or you're Jew curious. And some people will try to tell you, like, if you don't do Jewish the way I do Jewish, then you're not Jewish enough. And I think that's, if I can use some harsh letters, that's BS. So, people you're committed or you're not committed, and everybody else is, we're all working on our own path here, so I don't worry about not Jewish enough. Let's see. Now 164 says, Rabbi, my gamer son said that if you really want to boost your presence on Twitch, you should play Fortnite. So I've heard of the Fortnite. I'll confess to that. I'm not jumping right into it. I like all sorts of games. On this channel, I'm really going for like family-friendly stuff because, for one thing, I want it to be accessible to anybody, and so my rule is I play games that are ESRB rated 10 and up. So not the some games like Mario, there's a little bit of cartoon violence and things like that. So it's not for like the 3-year-olds. But I'm playing 10 and up, and Fortnite is clearly out of that category. It's kind of a shooter game, and that's not necessarily behavior that I want to endorse in people. So I'm avoiding the Fortnite for now. We'll see if that changes. Maybe I'll do like a late night channel or something with Fortnite on it. But I want to be careful about that. I want to make sure everybody's comfortable here and not necessarily playing like the shoot 'em up, gratuitous violence games. I don't know that much about Fortnite to say whether it is or not, but there are guns involved, so I'm kind of avoiding it right now. Let's see. And then for the people out there who are responsible gun owners, I'm not like 100% across the board anti-gun, but I don't necessarily want to play shoot 'em up games while I'm answering questions about Judaism. It feels a little bit over the line for me. So it's Susan Burtis here, says hi everyone. Let's see, KG Wilcox, we have someone from Berlin on YouTube. Welcome. All right. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. So happy to have you here. If you have any questions at all, post them in the YouTube chat. Post them in the little comment section there. I will come back to those at the end of the broadcast. If you want to talk to us live, we're going to be on twitch.tv/JewCurious. And if you're not signed up for Twitch, it takes like that. And so, in any case, really happy to have you here. Let's see. K. Dixie says, if a person... Oh, man. Forgot my bee pollen this morning. Let's see. K. Dixie says, if a person can't totally do the fast on Yom Kippur, what else could they do instead? Well, the fasting on Yom Kippur, we talked about this in the Jew Curious School on our class on the High Holy Days. There are 5 things you're supposed to avoid on Yom Kippur. And literally in the Tanakh, in the Torah, in the Bible, it doesn't say fast. It just says afflict yourselves or practice self-denial. But it doesn't say how. And this is a later evolution throughout the Talmud and the Jewish law codes. It says there are, what does it mean to afflict yourself? And they come up with 5 things. You should avoid eating and drinking for the 25 hours or so of Yom Kippur, like from sundown Erev Yom Kippur till sundown the next day. You should avoid eating and drinking. You should avoid, let's see, I had like 5 C's. What was it? It was consumption, comfort, cleanliness, cosmetics, and cohabitation. So you should avoid eating and drinking. You should avoid leather-soled shoes, and some people avoid leather altogether because leather-soled shoes back in the day, when you had cobblestone streets everywhere, like leather-soled shoes were a source of comfort, and you should avoid that. You should avoid bathing and washing, but this is also, just to put it in context, at a time where bathing between like just purely hygienic bathing was considered a luxury. So you don't go like to like a Roman bathhouse. You don't like sit in a tub and just soak and drink a glass of wine and read a novel for an hour. But don't, so to avoid excessive bathing, asterisk, when you go to the bathroom, wash your hands. That's just good hygiene. It could save lives. You're around about 1,000 people that day, so make sure you can still wash your hands when you go to the bathroom. Cosmetics, no anointing yourself with fragrant oils or excessive cosmetics or adornment. And then finally is, man, this is going to be a problem. I should just stick to the video games. You should avoid cohabitation, which means no sex. So specifically sexual intercourse, you should avoid that for Yom Kippur. So if you're having a problem with the eating and drinking part, there's still 4 things that you can avoid. You could avoid wearing leather-soled shoes. You could avoid excessive luxurious bathing. You could avoid excessive perfume and cosmetics and things like that. And you could avoid, as the rabbis would say, tashmish hamita, or using the bed. That's a lot of other things you could avoid in order to practice self-denial. If you want to get into the spirit of the fast, even if you can't medically fast, just keep it light that day. I was speaking with a rabbi that has been a great teacher of mine, and she says that if she fasts, if she completely avoids any food or water at all, she gets terrific migraines, which distracts her from the prayer and the work of tshuva that day. So her ruling was that, like, if that kind of fasting would completely take you out of the day, eat a little, eat just as much as it's required to keep you from being completely distracted. And she's like, I don't need a big, like, I don't need a whole roast turkey or anything. I'll eat like a boiled egg, or a little bit of tuna fish or something like that. Just enough that you can still stay in the spirit of the day, but you're still, avoiding like 2,000 calories at that point. So that's something that I want to pass on to you. And just to make sure, if you're concerned about fasting on Yom Kippur, if you have medication that requires taking it with food or water, take the medication. Take enough food or enough water that allows you to process that medication. The rule is, going all the way back into the law codes for hundreds of years now, if your doctor tells you not to fast, then not only are you off the hook for fasting, but you are forbidden from fasting, right? This goes into the category of pikuach nefesh. Like pikuach nefesh means saving a life, and for all but just a couple of mitzvot, you can set aside the commandments if doing so will save your life or save the life of another person. And so fasting on Yom Kippur falls into this category as well. So if you need to eat to save your life, then absolutely go ahead and eat. So just want to give that little PSA. I don't want people hurting themselves over this. And Pikuach Nefesh is based on this passage from Dvarim. God says, I put before you a path of life and a path of death. Choose life, right? It says the Torah is given to you so that you may live, and the rabbis fill in the blanks there. It's like, so that you can live by the Torah and not die by the Torah. So whatever it takes to save your life, don't sacrifice your life in order to fulfill the commandments. There's a couple of exceptions to that, which I've talked about before on this channel or on YouTube. Like if somebody says, either kill this person over here or I will kill you, you're supposed to sacrifice your life rather than taking the life of another person, right? But other than that, right, for fasting on Yom Kippur, for observing Shabbat and kashrut, the dietary laws, if like you're in the desert and you haven't eaten for a week and somebody offers you a ham sandwich and that's the only food that's around, eat the sandwich, right, to save your life. And then when you get back someplace safe, then you can, cut out the ham sandwiches. So with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and jump into the video gaming mode here. Where are we? We are in Mario Odyssey, and we're about to enter the Metro Kingdom. I will confess, I have played Mario Odyssey before, and the Metro Kingdom is one of my favorite parts of the Mario Odyssey. So let's get into that. A little bit of move juice. I'm going to turn off the music so that you can hear the music that Mario is playing and smell what the rock is cooking. Put on my ear goggles. And I'm ready to go. At the boards is the man they call Mario. I'm just going to check my sound levels here. Got a little bit of Mario music playing. Hopefully that's not too loud for me. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. So keep asking your questions and I will answer them as best I can while playing Super Mario Odyssey. Come on. Rabbi, which Machzor do you recommend? Great question, Nawa64. I recommend, if you're able to go to a synagogue for the High Holy Days, I recommend the Machzor that this synagogue is using. Right, I think there's really something to being on the same page with everybody else. So if you're at a synagogue, use the Machzor that they're using. Other than that, my favorite Machzor is the Machzor Lev Shalem, which is put out by the Rabbinical Assembly and the Conservative Movement. It's got all the traditional prayers in there, but it also has a lot of great translations and transliterations. It's got a lot of little tidbits in the margin to read from. So if you want to take your own Machzor, I love the Machzor. It's called Machzor Lev Shalem, Levshalem. So look for that. That's a good one. If you're really well versed in Hebrew, I like the Koran Machzorim as well. But what I recommend for most people is the Machzor Lev Shalem. But first and foremost, I think there's something powerful to just davening or being present with the Machzor that the rest of the community is using. So check that out. If you want another resource My second thing would be the Lev Shalem. So check that out. And Nawa 64 says, is that used as a daily Siddur also? So no, the Machzor is a separate book. Like the Machzor is a prayer book that's just used for the High Holy Days, and it's got all the High Holy Days liturgy in there, as well as the Torah readings. For a daily use Siddur, there are a lot of different options. My personal favorite, and this is kind of a throwback, is the Siddur Sim Shalom. I mean, I'm dyed in the wool in the conservative movement of Judaism, and that's our Siddur going back to like 1985. And I do recommend the 1985 edition because it has everything in there: Shabbat, holidays, weekdays, anything you could want short of the High Holidays liturgy is in there, plus the Pirkei Avot and a lot of other stuff. So I like the 1985 Sim Shalom. Might have to go on eBay for that one or get it used on Amazon because it's out of print and they don't make it anymore. But that's my personal favorite. Yeah, the Sim Shalom and the Lev Shalem. You know, Shalem and Shalom come from the same root. The Sim Shalom for me is a great Siddur. It's not for everybody, but that's the one that I like. I've got like a pocket-sized version that I carry with me whenever I'm traveling, and I think the Lev Shalem is, let's say, the updated version of that plus 25 or 30 years. Like Lev Shalem came out in 85. I'm not sure when or Sim Shalom came out in 85. There have been newer editions since that. There's like a holiday edition and a Shabbat edition and a weekday edition. I like the 85 one that has everything in there in one book. Just me, I like carrying a heavier book, but it's got everything in there. The Lev Shalem came out in the last few years. Very popular Machzor these days, and they've begun printing Siddurs as well with that same rubric of all of the traditional Hebrew prayers, plus great translations and transliterations, and a lot of like just great tidbits and quotes and articles in the margins. That's good as well. So Kathleen 63, welcome Kathleen 63, good to see you here. So let's go ahead and jump into the Metro Kingdom. Let's try this out. I couldn't find my regular controller. I'm using the backup controller. So as great as I am at this game, I'm using a different controller today. No excuses. Let's see what Mario's up to. See, he's got 45 power moons so far here on the Mario Odyssey. That is actually the name of the ship. And I'm still wearing a poncho and a sombrero for some reason from like 2 kingdoms ago. Need to update my outfit. To think their precious soiree bouquet stolen. We can't let that Bowser keep doing whatever he wants. Seeing as how we got some time to kill, let's review some useful skills. Cap, throw, and hold. Want to break a whole stack of boxes or hit a question mark block a bunch of times? Just press and hold Y to do a cap, throw, and hold. Your cap will hover for a bit and keep spinning. Well, there it is. All right, let's see what there is to see in the Metro Kingdom. Goodness, what was that? If I'm not mistaken, the Metro Kingdom actually starts with a boss battle, of all things. Oh, that looks like Bowser's ship. Mario and Cappy share a knowing glance. Boom, 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 boom. Is this going to be a mid-air battle? Oh my goodness. Oh, there's the man himself, Bowser. What's going on here? This is some cutscene. It's very tense. People glaring at each other. Maybe it's a mid-air fight. Cloud Kingdom. Oh my goodness, we don't even get to go to the Metro Kingdom. We have to stop in the Cloud Kingdom for a mid-air battle in the Nimbus Arena. Okay, I don't like the looks of this. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Okay. Oh man, am I gonna fight Bowser at this time? After fighting all his cronies? The Brutals? Speaker AJ says, I'm making Hala as I watch and listen. This is life at its best. Nothing better than Hala and video games. 2 of my favorite things. Mario I don't have time for you, says Bowser. I'm going to give him a high voice. I'm planning my wedding. Don't you know how stressful that is? I think Bowser needs to get a high-pitched voice. Da-da-da! I'm fighting Bowser in the clouds with my sombrero. That is the worst wedding bouquet ever. Uh-oh, boxing gloves. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys lately. I've been taking a boxing class. I now own boxing gloves. So, whoop. I'm gonna come up on you. Boop, 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 boop. KO. That'll teach you. Where is he at? This is not going to go well for me. I'm feeling a death coming on here. Got a heart, still down a heart. Yeah, I'm like slightly uncomfortable with this violence, so all the more so I don't think I'm going to be playing Fortnite anytime soon. That's a lot of hats. Oh, I was right there. There was a heart right there. Let's see. Try to answer this great question that just came in from Now164. You know, is asking about Nagia and being Shomer Nagia, meaning touching each other, and specifically about men and women touching each other, or a man touching a woman that he's not married to. That's I don't want to distinguish too much between in the halakha between what's orthodox and what's conservative. You will not see a whole lot of people being shomer nagia in terms in the conservative movement. So, you know, sometimes people see me and meet me at funerals or something for the first time, and don't know if they can shake my hand. So I will reach out to people to shake hands. I don't know how to say this in a non-creepy way. I like hugs, but I don't initiate hugs with people. And this is more just like being a 6'2", 275-pound dude. I don't just reach out and hug people that I don't know, just because I found, and from women that I talk to, like sometimes that can be intimidating or uncomfortable. So if somebody wants to hug me, I will hug back. If somebody wants to shake my hand, I will shake hands with anybody. The Shomer Nagia stuff, for me, is a part of this patriarchal mode designed to separate men and women and even denigrate women. So if that's part of your practice is men not touching women that they're not married to, that's fine. A nice thing to do is bow. If you meet somebody, just like, nice to see you. You know, keep your hands down at your sides so there's no confusion about whether you want to be touched. For me, I will reach out my hand to shake hands just so people know that it's okay. But if a woman doesn't want to take my hand, I will respect that. So that's my thing. I mean, I think that's a part of a culture that works really hard to separate men and women because apparently men are not to be trusted around women. But I think if you can be respectful, then maybe you can earn that trust. So in that case, for high holidays and greeting people, you know, if it's somebody you don't know, if they extend their hand, they're comfortable and you're comfortable, shake their hand, right? I encourage, especially the guys, or, you know, women too, anybody, like, you know, always ask before you can hug somebody. Or sometimes I'll hold my hands out like a hug, but I won't like go in for a hug unless I know it's cool. So in any case, just try to be respectful of personal boundaries and consent. But if you can understand and respect personal boundaries and consent, I don't think I personally don't have a problem with like men and women shaking hands even if they're not married. So that's a little bit fundamentalist for me. Let's see. Mrs. Bob Ross says, Shabbat Shalom, all, I'm late again. No worries, it's Fun Friday. You do what you like on Fun Friday. That's what it's all about. So I hope that's helpful for you, Nawa64, D-Alexans, welcoming Mrs. Bob Ross. Any thoughts on the debate last night? Did you watch? I have to say I did not. And I regret that. And I will tell you on this channel. So let me back it up a little bit. I learned from a great rabbi, Rabbi Ed Feinstein, like I do not speak politics from the Bima because the Bima is, that's the pulpit. And when I'm giving a sermon, I don't give sermons about politics because sermons are, by definition, a monologue and politics belongs in dialogue. However, I will say if I'm sitting at a lunch and learn with people or if I'm having a conversation, I'm happy to share my personal politics. And I see this platform on Twitch as a conversation because I'm answering questions live on chat. I'm a Democrat. I'm staunch, dyed-in-the-wool, like liberal Democrat. Going back, my parents were like the first people in their either side of the family to go to college. They were like the black sheep Democrats of their family. I come from a very conservative family in rural East Texas, so there's a little bit of tension. Like we all love each other, but we know what we can't talk about together. So I'm happy to share my personal politics. I am a Democrat. I would have loved to see the convention or the debate last night. However, I was at a meeting last night that was a High Holidays rehearsal prep meeting. And so in my synagogue, we got some great musicians and singers that help and I was going to say participate, but really help uplift the whole room when it comes to our High Holiday services. And I really wanted to participate with them last night. We singing and nigging together. There was just like goosebumps powerful. And doing a little bit of learning together on the Torah of music, which I'm a huge, passionate proponent of based on my learning with Joey Weissenberg. So was doing some really wonderful holy work last night, but I missed all of the debates. And I tell you what, I'm kind of waiting for the herd to get thinned out a little bit. Even as a supportive, staunch Democrat, I'm waiting for the herd to get thinned out before I throw in, right? So that's where I am. Beto O'Rourke, Texan, feeling your brother. Don't know if it's your turn yet, but in any case, Texan to Texan, I support you, brother. But we'll see how it works out. Let's see. So that's my thoughts on the debate. I did not see it, so I can't express any informed thoughts. Rabbi, along that same line, what about yichud seclusion? That's a different thing altogether. That's something I will always encourage people to do. Yichud is the practice in a Jewish wedding, and Bowser's all dressed for his wedding with Princess Peach, so it's apropos. When there's a Jewish wedding, after the ceremony, there's this practice called yichud where the bride and the groom go off by themselves for a little while. And this might have in the past been about consummating the marriage on the spot. I don't necessarily tell people what to do once they're married, but I do encourage them to go off by themselves. Just sociologically speaking, when you're at a wedding, and this is true for Jewish weddings, any other wedding, you have the ceremony, everybody's there. I have never seen a wedding reception like a Jewish wedding reception. There's usually like dinner and appetizers and drinks, and it just goes on for hours and dancing, and it's really celebratory. But like if you're the married couple, like for the rest of the night, you don't belong to yourselves or each other. You belong to all the people who are there. And so you spend your whole evening like going around to the different tables, people clinking glasses to make you kiss. Like it's a madhouse. And you're going around talking to people, you don't get to be together. And so I think it's really nice for a couple, once they've been through this really momentous occasion of getting married, to have 10, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, to themselves, just to breathe and be with each other, whatever they decide to do in that moment, before they jump into the whole reception thing. So I'm a strong proponent of yichud. Let's see. Oh, yichud, Rabbi actually asking, I've never heard of yichud in this context, but I'll go with it. Actually asking about people being alone with someone other than their spouse. Again, this goes back to a fundamentalist view of men and women and trustworthiness. You might have heard this in context with not playing politics just because he's famous for it. Vice President Mike Pence will not be alone with a woman other than his wife. So look, if you don't think you can trust yourself around women, then you're doing everybody a favor if you're not being alone with women. I've been married for 12 years, very strong connection with my spouse, not afraid of transgressing that. So I will be alone with other women besides my spouse, and my spouse trusts me, and I trust myself not to violate that or not to. And so that's not something I worry about. As a leader in a community where I'm often counseling people, if I have, and this is true for men or women, I think it's kind of patriarchal and sexist to make a distinction. Whenever I'm meeting with somebody in my office and it's like a private pastoral thing and they really need to talk about something, I will close my door like almost all the way, but not quite. Like maybe have it resting on the door jamb, but not, closed or locked or anything like that. I just want to be really careful about that. And it's also it helps make the person I'm talking to feel comfortable that I'm not enclosed with them in that space. Like if they get uncomfortable with me, they can leave. So that's, I don't go as far as other people, but I am conscious of other people's comfort in that space, if that makes sense for you. I'm kind of rambling a little bit. I really want to beat up on Bowser right now, but I'm not the guy who's going to say men and women can never be together, because then I would be the guy who says men have to sit over here and women have to sit over here, and women are not allowed to sing because their voices might freak some dude out and he might want to go over and have sex with them. That is a really creepy view of human sexuality, and it's a really denigrating view of men's ability to control themselves, even though I know sometimes men don't control themselves. So I think it's more to like, yes, in some ways it honors women's personal sovereignty, but I think sociologically it's used more often to oppress women and exclude them from leadership and important decisions. So that's my personal view. There are going to be plenty of rabbis out there who disagree with me about this, but there you have it. So let's see. Speaker AJ says, I went to a wedding in Korea too, where that was part of the custom as well. The bride and the groom going off alone for a while. Yeah, and Nawa64 says, I'm not a fan of separating men and women entirely, but I like the protection aspect of it. If women want to put themselves in a situation where they are protected from the possible aggression of men, I support that. I'm not being a woman. I don't know what that feels like to feel scared in that way. So I encourage behavior for people to put themselves in places where they feel comfortable. I don't necessarily support enforcing that on the sexes when there's trust between human beings. So it's a complicated thing, and I think if you go too far in one direction or the other, you're robbing people of their free will and their sovereignty and just their ability to control themselves. So there we go. Let's see. I'm going to go back to, speaking of weddings, Bowser says, I'm busy planning my wedding. Don't you know how stressful that is? I'll show you stressful, Bowser, after he's already killed me. Let's see if I can beat him this time. So he's got the bouquet. He's got that big, beautiful ring. Not really her size. All right. Let's go, boxing glove hat. Jump in the hat, punch the Bowser, avoid some of that fire right up front. That'll teach you. Oh, here he comes. Now he's upset. Gonna throw that again. Jump in the hat again. Punch the Bowser. That's 2. There's a whole bunch of hats. Oh man, I got that hat right before we put it back on. I got the hat back on. That third hat is a hard hat to catch. There's a truism in there somewhere. Haha, try to give me the tail, did you, buddy? Alright, Moo Kitten. Just wanted to say hi. Finally got to catch one of your streams. Great to have you here, Moo Kitten. Shabbat Shalom, Moo Kitten says Nawa64. And Dualexon says Baruch Haba, Moo Kitten. That means a blessing of welcome upon you. Fire! Uh-oh. This can't be good. Here I was, just minding my own business, going to the Metro Kingdom, and I'm getting fired upon by Bowser in the clouds. Let's see, what is that icon? That looks like a cat holding a heart. Very cool. See what you're up against, Mario? I can take it. I'm not afraid of Bowser. Got my keep on, got my ear goggles, gonna hold that down. This is actually my spare Keepa. This isn't as big as my usual one. I think I maybe left that, might be under my pillow. Sometimes I fall asleep without taking my Keepa off, and I get it like falls behind the bed or something. Wait a minute. This isn't the Metro Kingdom. The Odyssey's all busted up. We need some power moons to fix it. Let's get looking. So what's everybody got going on today? I'm curious about that. I know Speaker AJ is making some challah right now. That's a project in itself. How many power moons? It's broken. It won't move. We need power moons to fix it. Okay, I guess I need 10 of those. Later on, I'm going to go have lunch with my friend Jerry. Pretty excited about that. My friend Jerry is 97 years young, I believe. And that's what I found out when I moved to Burbank. I have a surprising number of friends who are in their 90s. So I'll say, if you want to live to your 90s, move to Burbank. I don't know, maybe it's the smog. It has a preservative quality, like smoking fish or something. Oh, what's this guy all about? Oh no, he took my hat. How am I supposed to get around doing my Mario stuff without my hat? So Kathleen63 says studying. Dualexon says studying for comprehensive exams in archaeology. Oh my goodness. Help, says my hat. So somehow I need to do my Mario business without the benefit of having a hat. So today I'm going to go have lunch with my friend Jerry. Whoop. And then I'm going to go, let's see, I was going to go to a boxing class, but I forgot I was having lunch with Jerry, and that's usually during boxing time. So I'm going to have lunch with my friend Jerry. I'm going to go see my friend June. And got a phone call with some great people in the Jew Curious school later today. How's the marathon prep going? Man, I wish you hadn't asked. It's been a little slow. Excuse me. I'm not doing the mileage that I should be doing, but I have been, running most days this week, plus the boxing for a little cross training. So I think I'll be in good enough shape to at least finish it. I'm not going for any record times this year. Yeah, I really don't like this world. So I'm keeping in good shape. I've been doing some running this week. I've been going to my my boxing class for cross training, and I hope that'll get me in at least finishing shape. Urgh! If not what is it? A PR shape. Let's see, I've already died twice on this hill. Okay, give me that hat back, you fool bird. Whoa, that's not what I meant to do at all. Nope, 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 that's not what I did. Trying to hit that bird with my power move. Gotcha, bird. Alright, Cappy. It's you and me, buddy. See what's going on. That's another thing I love about this community, is how encouraging people are of one another. Looks like D. Alexon's working on his comprehensives for archaeology. You made it this far, says Kathleen63. You'll do great. Thank you, hopefully, but the amount of information I'm expected to retain is ridiculously huge. Well played. All right, let's see. Whoa, thanks for the rescue. That was unpleasant and rather pokey. I sure hope it doesn't happen again. Now, pluck up your spirits. Let's go collect some power moons. Yes, let's. That's not a very big, long worm. All right, did that. Let's see, how do these guys work again? Okay, that's not cool. Hahaha, figure that out. That's helpful. You know, text message there. Oh, okay, Sprint is spamming me with text messages. Oh, that's right, it's Belmar! What's up? Let's see. I'm so sorry, Belmar. I forgot Ocean Threat 2 was you. Ocean Threat 2 plus Belmar. Love you, man. Bye now. Good to see you, Belmar. Belmar and I went to high school together, and he's done very well for himself, if I may say so. Always glad to see you, brother. Let's see. Raziel in midair. Ta-da, Power Moon. Let's see. Nawa64 says, Rabbi, on the topic of holidays, how do you feel about Jews participating in, say, Halloween? So I'm kind of cool with it. My birthday is October 27th, so I've always been a big fan of Halloween myself, and I kind of poskin by Rabbi Ed Feinstein. He's like, Halloween should have been a Jewish holiday. Like, what other holiday do you go around and get to meet all of your neighbors, and your neighbors like give you stuff? Like Halloween and Purim have a real connection. Like you wear costumes, it's topsy-turvy, you're sharing food with people. And so Rabbi Feinstein is like actually a big fan of Halloween, like in the context of building community with your neighbors. And so I know it's got a different yichus. It's not a Jewish holiday, but I lived in a neighborhood many years ago in St. Louis Park in Minnesota where, you know, there was a big Jewish neighborhood. There were some Orthodox neighbors of ours who, like, they wouldn't send their kids out on Halloween dressed up in costumes because it wasn't a Jewish holiday, but they always had candy to share with the neighbors who knocked on their door. And I thought that was a great way to go about it. If your thing is, I'm not celebrating non-Jewish holidays, but still respecting your neighbors and respecting your neighborhood and sharing with people at their time, that was a really nice way to go about it. Personally, I'm all upon the Halloween. I'm usually bad at costumes. Like, I love Halloween. I love taking my kids out for Halloween. I'm not a big, I'm not very skilled at planning ahead. So I usually have a pretty lame Halloween costume. Although right now, since I have boxing gloves, I'm thinking strongly of like a boxing related, maybe I'll get a t-shirt that makes me look like a guy who's more in shape. And I'll be Rocky Balboa or something like that. Let's see, jump toward a wall, and when you touch it, press B to do a wall jump. You can press B again when you reach the facing wall and keep repeating to reach really high places. All right. Like this. I feel like Jackie Chan up in here. What's up, little mushroom guy? Let's see. Talking about Kathleen 63 says, I was a liberal arts major, so I had to relatively easy. I'm a writer. Meditation helps clear the mind before studying exams. Really proponent of that. Same question. Have you heard of any rabbinical discussions about Halloween? So, again, there are those who would say, and there's also like rabbinic discussions about Thanksgiving, for example, an American holiday started by Quakers, started by Christians, and so there are some rabbis who say absolutely no celebrating Thanksgiving. Then there are others who say, Thanksgiving is an American holiday, not a religious holiday. Dina de Malchut Dina. It's like it's okay to observe the customs of the country that you're in during that holiday. And so there's a debate about it. Like for me, it's not so much of a debate. It's the Isur is you shouldn't worship other gods. And so some people say that Thanksgiving started as a holiday of a Christian people, but they were basing it on Sukkot, for crying out loud. Like the Quakers knew their Bible, or whoever it was, the Pilgrims, when they started Thanksgiving, they were basing it on Sukkot, which is a harvest festival. And so Thanksgiving for me is a kind of it's like Sukkot Sheni, if you will. I don't know if I invented that, but I'm quoting it here. Thanksgiving is like a Sukkot Sheni. It's a time of giving thanks at harvest. Maybe it's a month later than regular Sukkot, but it's depending on the different climates that you're in. Halloween similarly is, I'm not getting behind the religious rituals of All Hallows Eve, right? I know that Halloween is based on the Erev of All Saints Day. But if you're not celebrating that in that vein, and it's not going to draw you to then worship the Christian saints, again, it's about trust, right? It's about agency. It's about when you going back to Shomer Degia. Like if you can't trust yourself to shake hands with a woman and not like attack her, then by all means don't touch somebody. If you can't trust, if you can't be trusted to not transgress, don't do those things. But if you can be trusted to like wear a costume and ask for candy or give candy to people wearing costumes without then going over and serving their gods or worshiping their saints, then be an adult, for crying out loud, and stop worrying about fundamentalist projections upon you of your own incapacity to make moral decisions. So that's my take. Sorry, I got a little bit of harif there, but I really do love Halloween. So Mukin says, I have a question. How do you deal with the sort of peer pressure when it comes to Christmas? I've dealt with people who think I should just decorate, celebrate anyway, despite being Jewish. How do I deal with these sorts of people or confrontation? So, like, you can go to people's Christmas parties, but you don't have to have a Christmas party, right? You don't have to necessarily decorate for Christmas if Christmas is not your holiday, right? I don't know if you're in America or where you are, but in a lot of the developed world, we live in multicultural societies, and at least in the United States, our ability to practice our own religion is constitutionally protected, right? And so religion is a part of the culture, and the Jewish religion portends a slightly different, if overlapping, culture with other religions in America. But look, you do you. You celebrate the holidays that you want to celebrate. Let other people celebrate the holidays that they want to celebrate. If you are, working in an office and they have a Christmas party or a holiday party or whatever, you can participate, helping people enjoy their holiday without worshiping their God, right? And so there's a fine line. And like, look, if you don't trust yourself to do that, I get it. But don't let other people project their inability to separate on you. So that's my thing. Like, you don't need to succumb to the peer pressure. People say to me, Merry Christmas, I'll say thank you, or maybe I'll say Merry Christmas back to them, but that doesn't mean that I'm worshiping the same God that they're worshiping. I haven't had a Christmas tree for about, 20, 25 years now, certainly. But I'll go to but my parents aren't Jewish, and I'll go to their house and I'll celebrate with them, or if I were to go to a Christmas mass or something, when they're saying the prayers, I don't say amen, right? Because that means I agree with what you're saying. But I'll go to be with my family. I went to my sister's wedding, which was a very religious wedding in an Episcopal church. But I wasn't there for the religion. I was there for my sister. So I sat in the pews. When we were singing stuff that didn't have heavy Christian content to it, I would sing along. But when it came to the prayers, I would just be silent. I wouldn't say amen to those prayers. Even so, some of those prayers are actually borrowed from Judaism, and insofar as they don't contain the Christian additions, I would say those prayers and say amen, because a lot of it's like based on, let's say, the Birkat Kohanim, like God bless you and keep you. And when it was time for communion, I just said to my other sister and my mom, I'll watch your purse. Like, you go up and do communion, I'll sit here and watch your purse, and that'll be fine. So, and my family knows me well enough to be respectful of that. So, you can celebrate with people. You can be present while they're celebrating their faith without necessarily assenting to or participating in it. And you certainly, if it's your own space, nobody has the right to tell you how to decorate your own space or whatever. That's you, and God willing, people will understand that and respect you for it. So I hope that's helpful for you. Let's see. Haha, my cousins have a fake palm tree. They set up Hanukkah lights on. Okay. Let's see. Same here. Had Jewish friends with a Hanukkah bush. People do different things. I know plenty of Jews who had Hanukkah bushes or, Hanukkah trees growing up. That's not what we do, but I try not to yuck other people's yums. Step aside. Take a look around. Okay, so maybe there's a different outfit I could wear besides this sombrero. Noah 64 says, Ari, Halloween, we have an adult child who celebrates it as paganism, thus I am challenged. So look, that has more to do with your relationship with that child than it has to do with the holiday per se. Like if that's what they feel strongly drawn to and they're going to celebrate it, you can display your love for that child. You don't necessarily have to do it the same way that they do it. That's really kind of up to you, and that's a negotiation. Um, my parents and I have a different religion, and my parents support me in practicing my religion because they know what it's meant for me. They know what it's done for me. They know that I'm a more happy and fulfilled person and that I do more service work in the world because of the religion that I'm in, and they're respectful of that. And so when they happen to be over at my place for Jewish holidays, they celebrate the holidays with me. And when I happen to be with them for their holidays, I celebrate with them in terms of, drinking it. I'm a big fan of eggnog, personally. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love, like, as soon as it's available, I buy it by the quart. So I love eggnog. But I don't go so far as to practicing rituals that are not a part of my religion. So it's a tough thing to negotiate. So, if you can be challenged. My advice, especially when like parents and children differ, is you do you. You practice the religion that gives you joy, and you practice it publicly, and you show people how it gives you joy, and you let your children see that, and rather than pushing on them, especially if they're adults, where there's no pushing anyway. It's only influence and encouragement when it comes to parenting adults. I'm starting to learn that now as I have adult children. But so show them what you love, and maybe they will, want to emulate that. Maybe they'll fall in love with it as well. If they don't, give it time, or respect that they're following a different path. All right, Mario's asleep. What's in this little thing over here? Never seen this little side cabinet. Oh, that's where I can change around to different things. Might have a captain's hat. Let's see what other options are available here. Okay, so nothing. Oh, wait, we got some stuff in here. Not really interested in those things. What's the outfit for this kingdom? Oh, Forgotten Isle. Got some aviator stuff going on, but I don't have any of those special coins. Yeah, I'm with you, Mukuten. I personally love Halloween, haha, but I just like dressing up in bats and spooky things. Kathleen says, so I'm big into spooky things. I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I'm a big scary movie aficionado. Like, I've got the Netflix and the Prime and the Hulu and Apple movies, and just about any horror movie worth watching I've seen, and many that were not, but I watched them anyway, just to be sure. So especially the zombie subgenre. I've been catching up on season 9 of The Walking Dead that just made its way to Netflix. All right, where are we going, buddy? Oh, hey, there's the Odyssey. There's a power moon inside that cage. Oh, didn't make. Kathleen says, my late husband's family, Mexican, celebrated Day de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, so my kids do that, just a way of honoring and remembering deceased loved ones. When people get in a bind about the December dilemma, Christmas versus Hanukkah, and especially after people convert, how do I celebrate with my family members who aren't Jewish? I like to remind them that, honoring your parents is in the top 10, right? Kibud Ab B'Em, or honoring the father and the mother, is in the 10 Commandments. And if you can do that without kind of violating your own faith, then I think there's something to be said for that. Okay, Butterfly. What happened to you, buddy? Ooh, what's in here? And if I can get all of them at once, I would get a power moon, and I did. Okay, Talkatoo. What's up? Wrecked rock block. Okay, that's my clue. It's hiding somewhere, no peeking. Wrecked rock block. Alright, this is a tough level. Let's see. Doop. You need a little when you just stand there and get money. Okay. Oh, there's a power moon up there. Who knew? Alright, so I got 3 out of 10. Whoop. Boosh. Yikes. Already got that one. Whoa. Jumping up the Mario like the Jackie Chan. Get to the top, get to the top, get to the top, get to the top, get to the top. Nope. That didn't work out the way I wanted it to. See, KG Wilcox said, good question on YouTube if you get a chance. I'm going to go ahead and jump into that just because I'm not having a whole lot of luck with Mario right now. Let's see. Gonna go check and see what's going on YouTube right now. Boop, boop, ba-doo, ba-doo, boop, 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 doop. That's good radio on Twitch. Nothing happening. Boop, ba-doo, boop, boop, ba-doo, boop, ba-doo, boop. Let's see. Oh, a whole bunch of people here on YouTube. A says hello from Boston. Grycicle says, welcome back, Rabbi. Good to see you, Grycicle. Fortune Psych. Let me turn that down, get a little interference in here. Let's see. Fortune Psych says, Shalom Rabbi from New York, New Jersey. All right. I have a question. In your opinion, why aren't young adults, i.e. 20s and 40s, more involved or active in the conservative movement, such as attending shul more regularly? Because the shuls in the conservative movement are designed for families, and if you don't have a family yet, there's not a lot for you to do there. I'm just going to be real blunt about that. There, you know, where to begin? So the vast upsurge of congregations in the conservative movement came about in the 40s and 50s post World War II. And when people came back to America en masse and started having families en masse and moving out to the suburbs en masse, that's where the bulk of conservative synagogues were built. And it was usually guys who were newly married, maybe have kids yet, maybe don't have kids yet, and they started having kids. And so they built synagogues in the suburbs. And then as they started having kids, and like they would go and they would daven, they would make minyan. There was a little bit more or less egalitarian back then, so they would worship in the synagogue, and their wives would be in the kitchens, and they would have kitchens. Their wives would be in the kitchens making tuna salad or pickled herring or whatever for kiddush, and so it began to cater to these young families. And then they had kids. The synagogue would start a preschool, and as those kids grew up, those synagogues would start a cheder or Hebrew school, and then would prepare kids for bar mitzvah, and so the entire structure of governance, of programming, of everything around most conservative synagogues was about families with children and getting those children to bar mitzvah age, and then as they got older, providing more things for them. And so the conservative movement is very family centric. That's not a bad thing. Like I encourage people to have families. For me, that's how I've been since my 20s, and so I think it's a good way to live your life. But we're not recognizing that more and more people are choosing to have families later or not have families at all. And so they come into a synagogue where the synagogue is primarily programmed around, and this is not just conservative synagogues, by the way, Orthodox synagogues, Reform synagogues, probably largely to the same extent, are geared around people with families. And if you don't have a family, there's less for you to do there. And so I'm not remotely surprised that people in their 20s to 40s who aren't a part of a family unit aren't getting involved in synagogues where most of the programming is for people that are other than them. And the fact is that a lot of times people who may have been raised religious, may have been Jewish their whole life, in their 20s, 30s, and now into their 40s, as adolescence is getting longer and longer, are figuring out their own identities separate from their religious community. And it's often only when they have kids that they then fall out of the center of their own universe. They start asking these existential questions that Judaism has answers for. And that's people are drawn to synagogues in those moments of their lives where it's not all about you, buddy, right? And so there's an old rabbi's joke that says, we get them when their kids are born and when their parents die. Like, that's when people come to synagogues, when their kids are born and suddenly they need to figure out, okay, how do I get my kid involved in a tribe so that they feel normal, so that they feel embraced, so that I have a community help me raise my child? That's when people go back to synagogues after not being there for their young adulthood, is when they have kids. And then maybe after bar mitzvah, they feel like, oh, I don't really need the synagogue anymore because my kid did all the Jewish stuff they need to do. And then a few years later, their parents pass away, or their parents are getting older, or they need more care, or they pass. And that's when people, again, have those pressing existential questions like, maybe I'm not the center of the universe anymore. I need some support to help me deal with this. And that's when people gravitate back towards synagogues. And so you'll see in most synagogues, and I'm not going to say this is exclusively a conservative phenomenon, because I don't think it is, and probably churches, Christian churches as well, is that your primary demographics are young families with children between the ages of 0 and 13, at least like the youngest child is under 13, and a bunch of older people who came back to the synagogue after their parents passed and then found a nurturing community and stuck around. And so this is just my, I'm not projecting this on anybody, this is my sociological observation of synagogue life, having been involved in synagogues for the last 20 plus years. And so whenever somebody comes to me and says, hey, Rabbi, how do we get the millennials in here? Or how do we get young people to come back to the synagogue? I say you can't. like if they want to be here, they'll be here, right? And there's a select few of people in their 20s and 40s, or 20s to 30s, 40s, who feel drawn to religious activity, religious discipline, religious learning and expression. And and then they'll come back. And if they come into a synagogue where there's no programming for them, where they don't have a community like themselves, they'll go to some place where they do. That's why Chabad is doing great among a younger generation. Esha Torah, these kind of Orthodox outreach movements, where they have more Orthodox outreach professionals than there are conservative, reform, etc., liberal rabbis in the world. And so they're really working hard to put together things for people in their 20s and 30s. The downside of this, from my perspective, is that people in their 20s and 30s are only being reached out to by fringe fundamentalist expressions of Judaism that don't honor them for their own identities, their own agencies, whatever. They see them as Jews, helping them to be more Jewish, whereas I'm of the school of thought of Rabbi Irving Greenberg, who says, Judaism isn't there to make you more Jewish. Judaism is there to make you more human, right? Judaism is there to make you a better human, not a better Jew. And so I'll say personally, I don't sweat it a lot that, why aren't there more 20s and 30s in here? Because for the most part, synagogues don't have things for them, and people in their 20s and 30s aren't looking for what synagogues have to offer. That's not a permanent condition. What you have to do is to be, when you see people in their 20s and 30s, be welcoming, be open to them, say things like, what is it that you need, and we'll help you, so that when they feel naturally drawn in their maturity to religious expression in their lives and religious learning in their lives, they know that your synagogue is a comfortable place for them. And so that's kind of my take on it. I know it's not terribly popular, especially among rabbis who are pressured to cater to the needs of people who aren't looking for what they offer. It's like, don't pretend like we're a religious institution. We're here for people who want to pray and meditate and learn. If that's not where you are in your life, just know that we're here for you when you do need us. And so when people reach that stage that a synagogue is meeting their needs, you're there for them. And so that's my take on that. It's a little bit controversial. I had a great conversation with Rabbi Adam Greenwald a few years ago, and I was like, I have two sort of different populations that I have a motivation to reach out to. One is like the millennials, and say, hey, Rabbi, how do we get the millennials in here? I'm like, this is a congregation that's primarily based on preschool and Hebrew school age families. We don't offer anything to millennials. Like, what are we pushing? But say, oh, we need the millennials. And I had a lot of people who were coming to my congregation who were Jew curious, who were converting or things like that. I'm like, do I reach out to people who are on the path to conversion, or do I reach out to millennials? And this one rabbi said to me, so you're asking me, are you reaching out to people who desperately want to be involved in Judaism but can't find a way in? That's the Jew curious people. Or should you instead invest all your time, resources, energy, etc., on a population who aren't looking for what you offer? And everyone else is trying to reach out to them too at the same time. There's like intense competition and no demand. And so at that point, at that critical point, I said, I'm going to focus not on this population who doesn't want to be involved in synagogues, that everyone's trying to get involved in synagogues. And I thought instead, I'm going to reach out to people who desperately want to be involved in synagogues and Jewish life, etc., but nobody's talking to them. And so that was probably the proto-genesis of the Jew Curious School. So I appreciate the question. Probably not the answer you were looking for, but young adults are in a process of individuation, right? They're trying to separate themselves from the tribe and figure out who they are independent of the tribe. It takes a certain amount of life experience, maturity, hard knocks, what have you, to realize that actually living with the tribe is way better than trying to make your individual mark. I don't care what kind of pressures, rugged American individualism has put on you. We all buy that line that, you should be independent, you should figure out who you are as an individual, as if that's a real thing. Daniel Graeber has a great thing on this in Debt, the First 5,000 Years, where he talks about, this idea of an individual identity is BS, right? Every person isn't just an island. Every person is a nexus of relationships, right? I am who I am because of the people that I am connected to, right? And the definition of myself is a person with a unique combination of connections to other people. And it takes your 20s, 30s, 40s to realize that. And then when you realize that living in a tribe is better, that's when synagogue life, communal life, etc., becomes more appealing. So that's sort of my personal rant on that subject. Hope that's helpful for you. I'll entertain any follow-up questions. Mo Smith from YouTube says, "Hello, Rabbi. Does the Tanakh say of it? Does it say anything about wrapping one's fingers around the tzitzit corner of the shawl, and what does that mean?" That's a minhag. That's sort of a custom. You know, it says you shall look upon these tzitzit. I'm sure there are people who've looked in different words in the Torah that says, oh, you know, we wrap it around the finger because of this. I'm going to guess that that's more of a mystical custom than it is something from the Tanakh per se, right? People, the Tanakh tells us that we should look at the tzitzit to be reminded of the mitzvot. As far as what we do with the tzitzit, or the kissing, the wrapping around the fingers, the touching the Torah scroll with the tzitzit, that's a custom that's emerged over the last several hundred years, but not mentioned in the Tanakh per se. Mo Smith says, "Rabbi, strangely enough, enjoying your gaming skill as we discuss Judaism." I appreciate that, especially if you're saying that I have skill. I don't know if I'm not gonna. I'll assent. I don't know if I'll agree. Speaker AJ says, "I happen to be a millennial, and I definitely notice that I'm often one of the youngest in the room at a synagogue, if not the youngest, particularly for daily minyan." That was my experience as well. Like, I was drawn to Judaism, you know, in my 20s, and I started going to daily minyan because I thought that's just what Jews did, right? Little did I know that I would be the youngest person there by 10 or 20 years. And, you know, and daily minyan is more of a almost a bereavement group. If anything, people only start going to daily minyan after their parents pass and they're saying Kaddish every day for a year, and then they get in the habit, and then it becomes a lifelong practice. And so I'm a weirdo. Like, I love Judaism, and I love participating in Jewish communities in my 20s. And it's not to say that it's a wrong thing to do. It's just say, you know, statistically, I'm not on the high end of the bell curve in that. So Speaker AJ, I get it. I'm with you, buddy. Like, this is something that's drawn me from very early on, but it doesn't work the same way for everybody. Mrs. Barbara says, "I very much want to become part of the community. It's just finding the right fit," and that could be a journey for a number of years. Speaker AJ says, "I'm happily a weirdo too." So, high five to the weirdos there. Agreed, we're challenged there as well. Very cool. So let's see. No, I don't want to talk to this guy anymore. I just want to get my power moons. I'm sure he's a nice person, nice individual. Okay, where are some more power moons around here? Let me see if I can get that butterfly. That's the Talkatoo. I've already talked to the Talkatoo. There's one over there. Woo! See the power moon up there. We gotta get there first. Let's see, Speaker AJ says, "I just realized my Twitch icon is a lobster or something tremendously ironic. Maybe I should change that." Yeah, I've noticed that too, that Twitch icons tend to be like shellfish looking creatures, or, you know, octopuses or squids. I don't know if, I'm not going to go so far as to say it's anti-Semitic, but it's certainly hilarious. All right, let's go, stretchy dude. Let's see what kind of power moves we can get up to here. All right. Speaking of unkosher things, I am now a caterpillar. Alright. I'm gonna need your help again. Woohoo! I got a moon. Okay. 4 down, 6 to go. Try the little power moon trick there. Oh man, I was just gonna get in that guy. Oh. Hey Trigger Snow, good to see you here. Hey, you're still on. Woot woot. Let's see. K Dixie says, welcome back. Alright. Hope that was helpful for you, Mo Smith on YouTube. Now let's see if I can get a few more power moons before I call it a day. Gonna go have lunch with my good friend Jerry. And if you want to hang out with us, we'll be at Hill Street Diner in Burbank at noon. Alright. That didn't work out. Falafel. Let's see. Oh, we're still on word on. Maybe it's a picture of the challah. Speaker AJ is uploading an icon. Maybe a picture of the challah when it's done. And use that. That's a good one. I think I just used my face. So Trigger Sim is suggesting maybe falafel. I guess that's a suggestion for Speaker AJ's picture. Let's see, where can I find a power moon? Oh, there's a moon down there. Maybe it's a mini moon. Da-ba-da-ba. Got one. Falafel for lunch. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't have falafel at the Hill Street Cafe. I usually go for the huevos rancheros or the fish tacos. If I'm there for breakfast, it's the huevos rancheros. I'm pretty sure about their beans. If I'm there for lunch, it's the fish tacos. A little while ago, I was there. We had an earthquake here on July 4th. And kids were off of school, I was off of work, so for July 4th, we went to the Hill Street Cafe for breakfast, and then the earth started shaking. And being in full-on dad mode, I was convinced that one of my kids was kicking the booth. So I said, please stop kicking the booth. And it turns, and their mom said, nope, look at the light fixtures, they're not kicking the booth. It is, in fact, an earthquake. So I felt embarrassed. I was like, I'm sorry, I accused you of kicking the booth. But you know, you've done it before. Oh, I should have seen that coming. Whoop. Oh, sorry. I was looking at a question. I didn't see that I was in the zone there. Mrs. Bob Ross says, "What's the difference between a shoal temp?" Oh, I got to pay attention here. Maybe my levers are stuck. Mrs. Bob Ross says, "What's the difference between a shoal, temple, and synagogue?" Language. It is exclusively a difference of language. Whereby, you know, shoal is a Yiddish word from the German for Schule or school. And because the synagogue was often a place of learning, or God willing, it's still a place of learning. And so we got the word shul for synagogue. That's where children were educated. And so shul became a Yiddish word for the place you go to pray, learn, congregate with other people, etc. Synagogue is a German word that just means a place of gathering. The Hebrew for a synagogue is a Beit HaKnesset, which means like or Beit Knesset, which means a house of gathering. Synagogue is Greek for that. And then temple is interesting. Temple for me my understanding is it's more of a theological choice that came along, especially with the Reform movement, which primarily in Germany first, and then in the United States, they started calling Jewish houses of gathering and worship temples as a theological move away from the idealization of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple in Jerusalem. Whereas for much of the rabbinic period, let's say about 2,000 years, give or take, we were praying for the restoration of the temple, the third Commonwealth. And so an early platform in the an early plank in the platform of the Reform movement was, we are no longer dedicated to the idea of restoring temple worship. And so each of our synagogues is like our temple. This is where we worship now. We've fully made the transition from animal sacrificing Jews to praying and studying Jews, and we're no longer idealizing the restoration of the temple in a sort of ideal future. And so they started calling their places temples. And so this is often Reform synagogues will have the name temple, like Wilshire Boulevard Temple here in Los Angeles. But I know a lot of conservative synagogues as well that will call themselves temple, just because American Jews have gotten accustomed to calling the places that they go to for Shabbat and holidays temples. But that's the one that has, so one is a Yiddish, shul is a Yiddish word, which speaks to that culture. Synagogue is a more technical term from the original Greek. And then temple is kind of what that same institution is called in the liberal Jewish world in North America in English. So where two synagogues where I've been a rabbi, Burbank Temple Emmanuel and the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center have the word temple in there, which is, whether people know it or not, expressing a theology of we're fine the way we are as praying and studying and activist Jews. We're not begging for the opportunity to start sacrificing animals again. So hopefully that's helpful for you. But in essence, they're all talking about the same thing. If some people say, "Oh, I'm going to the synagogue," or "I'm going to shul," I use the word shul a lot just because that's what I learned from the old Jews I used to hang out with, and that's my own choice. I say as I fall into acid again. Let's see. Can we eat cheese with fish? Absolutely, because fish is considered parv, which means it's neither milk. Kosher fish, that is considered parv, which means it's neither milk nor meat. So Filet-O-Fish sandwiches with cheese, totally okay. If you're a McDonald's type person, you might not be. Okay, so I've got that power moon. And now this is interesting. I need to go back and get that parallel moon. So that's two places to get a power moon, a three-dimensional place and a two-dimensional place and a three-dimensional place. Oh, how do I get there? I think I need to get my worm friend back. No! Kathleen says, "Cool, I love fish tacos." So I'm going to go have some dairy. I don't know if they put cheese on their fish tacos at Hill Street. They definitely have decent guacamole. Okay. Try it again. Go to get a worm. Get the worm. Get the worm on the platform. Alright, that worm's not going to be able to cross over that mess, so... Got a moon. Yeah, I don't know if it's a California thing or what. I just became a fan of fish tacos at some point, especially as a wonderful way to keep kosher at a restaurant. And I can't get out of here with that guy. Nope, 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 nope. Okay. Keep losing my gold coins here. Alright, 3 more power moons to go. Got a little drift in my controller. I don't know if anybody else gets this with Switch. Sometimes the controller has a little bit of drift to it. Get some of those coins all up in there. Okay, so it's not going to work. Kathleen62 says, I grew up in Fullerton, so maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. When fish tacos became popular. I remember when it was, I remember when they did become popular, I was all into that trend. And now pretty much any place I go that has fish tacos, I'll order the fish tacos. I'll ask what kind of fish it is. Like sometimes it's catfish or something and I can't eat that. But usually it's like tilapia or whitefish or some kind. And that's kosher. Where is that moon? Okay, it's over there. Excuse me, my worm friend. Okay. All right, should I go for it? Should I go for the power moon? Just went to college. Let's see. K Dixie says, I went to college in Fullerton Small. Or should I go for it? Should I go for the power moon? Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Got it. Okay, just 2 more to go. How do I get off this crazy... Jane, stop this crazy thing. Little Jetsons reference there. I am Jetsons reference years old. Okay, how do I get inside that little contraption? Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Boop, boop, boop. K Dixie says, if you ever revisit Fullerton, let's go out for fish tacos. I don't think Fullerton's that far from where I am. We should have like a Jew Curious fish taco day. Alright, so I just need 1 more power moon to restore the Odyssey to its original grandeur. Alright. Come over. No, do this one. Do this one. No, darn it. No, come on, do this one. Do this one. Yes. Okay. So now I have all the things that I need. I'm going to cheat a little. Well, no, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Go to the... go back to the Odyssey. Where's the Odyssey at? Right here. Right here. Jew Curious Fish Taco Day. That would be so much fun. Just do like Fish Taco Fridays on the Jew Curious. Then we could have Fun Friday. Maybe we do Fun Fridays followed by Fish Taco Friday. It's a little bit Catholic, but that's cool. Everybody loves fish tacos. Gotta get those T-shirts. I like that idea. Let's see. Tell you what, there's a few things I want to do. We're gonna wait till after the holidays. So I don't like to complain about my job because I have the best job in the world. But right now it's getting kind of busy for the next couple of weeks until we get through the holidays. And so, you know, after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we'll talk about things like Fish Taco Tuesday and getting the shirts together. I'm actually pretty excited. I have a really good synagogue that I'm working with this year. Really great musicians. I got to sit with them last night, and we learned a little bit of the Torah about music and its role in prayer, and just getting a lot of great lay leaders to come speak during the holidays, which is cool. Like, I have enough to say on the Bima. People don't need to hear more from me, but we have a great cantor. I'll be giving a sermon, and we've got some lay people from the congregation are going to get up and tell their stories as well about Jewish things they did this year and what it's meant to them. And so we're going to have a blast of a time. But and I know people have been trying to like reach out to me through the Jew Curious School, and I don't answer messages as fast as I used to. A little bit just like the hecticness of the holidays. It's kind of like April for accountants is what the holidays is for rabbis and teachers like that. So if you've been reaching out to me and I haven't gotten back to you, please understand. I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can. But new initiatives are going to wait till after the holidays, I think. Let's see. We just found enough power moons to fix up the Odyssey. Thank goodness. We've been going, gosh, is it really already 11 o'clock? And I got to go get fish tacos pretty soon. Let's see if we can get through the first... let's see if we can get through the first boss battle of the Metro Kingdom, and then we'll go on. Let's see. Now 64. Looking forward to the High Holiday live stream. Still working on that. I know it's something we've got in the works. I don't know how to get the link out to you. It might be only members of our temple, but I'm hoping that we can find a way. And so that people who are into live streaming on the holidays can hear my sermon as well. All right, let's see what the Metro Kingdom is all about. Thank you, everybody, for asking great questions today. We've talked about Halloween. We've talked about Nagia. Mrs. Bob Ross says, say what? So Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center is working on live streaming our High Holy Days. If people are into that, then I'm trying to find out, okay, to whom is that going to be available and how? And as soon as I can, I'll inform people in this community of that. I'll talk about it in the live stream. I'll send it out over my email list. If you're not on my email list, there's a good way to get there is check out the 3 things Jew Curious people need. There is a link to that below the video in the description on Twitch. And of course, everybody in the Jew Curious School will know about that as well. So we finally made it. Things don't look so good. Went from like a tropical kingdom of acid lakes to a rainy city. And there's Bowser's boat when you know it. Okay. So as miserable as it looks right now, this is probably my favorite kingdom in Super Mario Odyssey. You'll see why. I'm a city guy. I like cities. What do you think, Mayor Pauline? What's Mayor Pauline all about? I don't really have time to chat right now. I need to figure out a way to save my city. From what? Says the guy in the sombrero. Things have been in utter chaos since that brutish monster showed up. And he has the nerve to be advertising this wedding all over New Donk City. A bit tasteless, if you ask me. New Donk City? Get a rope. All right. Let's go see what we can do to stop this Bowser fellow. Me head into the city? Forget about it. Douche. City outskirts. Outskirts what? Oh, there's a fly. A city with vermin? Well, there's a tank over there. Seen those guys before. Whoop. Haha. Aw. I don't want to be in a tank. That's dangerous. Whoop, whoop. Oh, hey. Whoop, 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 whoop. Tanks blowing some stuff up. Tanks, but no tanks. Oh, I'm just gonna follow the flags, y'all. Let's see what we got here. Great, I'm on the email list. The speaker AJ says this setup reminds me a little bit of the downtown level from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, another game that could be fun for Friday potentially. I'm down with that. If it's ESRB 10 and up, I am down. I remember I was into skateboarding back in the 80s when Tony Hawk was the wunderkind of skateboarding. I was more of a Tony Caballero fan myself, but you know, no accounting for taste. Had a Caballero board with the, and I did get to see Bones Brigade came to latter day Bones Brigade. I don't know. I think maybe Tony. I forget if Tony Caballero was there. It might have been like after his generation of Bones Brigade, like Tony Hawk, Lance Mountain, those guys. Mike McGill. Where the heck am I? But if it's a video game, I'll play it. No, I'm not trying to get out. I'm trying to shoot him. Oh, I jumped right into that one. Okay, so let's try this again. How about Star Wars games? Interesting. You know, if it's not straight up shooting people, I'm down. Again, I'm not against all possession of firearms per se for self-defense and sport, hunting, target practice, things like that. But I don't support kind of the profligate worship of guns. And so I'm gonna, just on this channel, I'm gonna avoid gun-based games. It's a decision I'm making that I'm gonna live with. Nah! Game's a huge pain in the tuchus. Try that again. Pod racers. Interesting. Just don't put me in the position of remarking on the canonicity of the prequels. Boop, boop, boop. Alright, maybe if I go in there, something fun will happen. New Donk City. Oop, oop, oop. Yep, just died. Just walked into a room, died right off the bat. Very graceful. I love the Darth Vader link, yeah. So I'm not into the Star Wars prequels. I am very much into Darth Vader. Where it's like, if you're not familiar, it's the Star Wars-based Passover Seder, where instead of 4 cups of wine, they have 4 cups of blue milk. Go away, dudes. I do have a little bit of drift on my controller right now. Just sit there and take the money. Oh, low battery on my controller. That's a good signal that I should probably just give up. Alright, gang. If you're just joining us, I can't imagine that you'd just be joining us right now. But if you are, this is the Jew Curious Show. On Fridays, we get together, we play video games, and I answer questions about Judaism, because I fully believe that a life of studying Judaism, getting involved with the Jewish traditions and Jewish people, is a life that leads to greater meaning, greater joy, greater human connection, greater personal growth. That's been my experience personally. A lot of people have helped me out with that, and so I like to help people out where I can by answering your questions about Judaism. So let's see what this guy has to say. That thing is trying to suck up all the juice from our city. Okay. I feel like there's a boss battle about to happen here. All right, now we're in the game Centipede. Okay. It was one of the first arcade games with a trackball, if you remember. Whoop! Oh. Okay then. Oh, Mario doesn't have bones, apparently. Nope. Okay, disappeared somewhere. Nope. Okay, I just gotta dodge that when the beams come out. Where'd he go? Try to avoid that stuff. Easier said than done. Where is he going? Can't tell if I'm supposed to shoot him right there or just get out of the way. No, Mario. Kitten Fiesta, hi Rabbi, posted this on YouTube, didn't realize I need to ask on Twitch, haha, but I'm currently in the process of converting and this is the first year that I'm celebrating the high holidays. I found a synagogue whose service I'd like to attend, but when I tried to RSVP as a guest, I'm not a member yet, it asked me for a donation of $360. Unfortunately, I'm in between jobs at the moment, and it's a bit steep for me. I know that donating is a part of the tradition, so I'm wondering if I should just stay home and try to find a service streaming online since I can't afford to go. I'm not sure how financial hardship plays into things like this. There was a survey done recently of the synagogues in Jews and synagogues in the San Fernando Valley here in California, and one of the biggest barriers to entry in people's minds of getting involved in a synagogue was the perceived cost of being involved in the synagogue and the real cost of running an institution. So people say, oh, I'm not going to go because they've given me this price and I can't pay that. But also the same survey found out that far and away, like just about every Jewish institution, if the financial aspect becomes a barrier, just about every institution will work with you on that because they don't want cost to be a barrier. Like they do ask for a donation because putting on these services is an expensive endeavor, right? There are more people there than are there throughout the year. You have to hire extra staff, custodians, people just plumbing out the toilets and making sure there are paper towels in the bathroom, making sure the place is cleaned up. A lot of places hire extra security. There might be more clergy present than usual. So it is expensive, and that's why people donate to it. However, just about any institution out there will say, okay, even if you're not a member, here's an expected contribution. If that's a hardship for you, I want to encourage you to reach out to them and say, I would love to, this isn't something I can do this year. And they may say, well, if that's not something you can do, then this isn't a place you can go. But if that were the case, I'd be extremely surprised. And so a couple of alternatives you have. If you have multiple synagogues in the area, reach out to different places and see, maybe someplace else won't be like that. But I would, if it's a synagogue you really want to go to and they say, it's $360 for non-members, then say like, I'd love to, this isn't a year that I could do that. It's just not in my budget. It's not in my resources. Can I please come? And then maybe, God willing, in the future, when I do have the resources, I can contribute to the community. I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, if not 99 times out of 100, the synagogue will work with you on that. And maybe it's 180, maybe it's $18 or $36. Just like whatever gift you can afford and however your heart moves you will be appreciated. And so Kitten Fiesta, my advice to you is, if that's a synagogue you want to go to, reach out to them and say, that's not in my budget. Is there something that we can do? Like, is there something less that I can give this time, and then in the future, maybe I'll contribute. I'll contribute when I'm able to. So I hope that's helpful for you. People get kind of put off because it feels like a pay to pray model. It's not like that. It's just that synagogues do invest a lot in putting on a service for people, and it's helpful to contribute to that. But no synagogue that I would be a part of, frankly, and most synagogues that I know would not want that cost to be a barrier for you going or not going. So I would reach out to them and see what they could do for you. That's my advice. So let's see. People talking about synagogues with non-mandatory dues. Hebrewski says, just joining the chat, but there are some places that do free holiday services sometimes. Kid and Fiesta, it really depends on where you live, how many synagogues there are. But I would reach out to that same synagogue and say, I can't do 360. You know, if you can say, I can do 180 or I can do 36 or something like that. Just something that's a meaningful contribution for you, right? Something that's is a significant contribution for you, but it's still in your budget, so you can still get to eat, then I would do that. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to try this one more time, then we're going to call it a day. Nope, that's not what I want. I want to go this way. I'm going to try to beat up that centipede, and then we'll sign off for the week. Come on, Bugaboo. I'm going to skip that whole mess. Okay, where's he going? Where's he coming from? Oh, guess that's not going to work. Are there any hearts around here? Toro! Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? No, no! Oh, I didn't know I could hit those floaty balls. Okay, I'm down to one heart. I could really use another one. Where's he at? Where's he at? Oh. What? Okay, one more time, and then we're going to call it a day. Well, maybe not one more. I just really want to beat this guy, and then we're going to go get fish tacos with Jerry. Skip. Why did I blow up the tank? No. Toro. That was a bad idea. There's got to be another heart around here somewhere. What are you looking at, Tank Man? Whoop. Hebrewski says, also, I've been Netflixing a lot this weekend. If anyone is looking for a few great shows to watch, The Spy, starring Sacha Baron Cohen, tells the story of Israeli spy in Syria, Eli Cohen. It's a compelling story. What? Take off, Siri. I'm not talking to you. It's a compelling limited series that on the struggles of Mizrahim, Sfardim face in Israel. Also, Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance is so amazing. I was a kid who grew up on Dark Crystal, so I've been curious about that myself. Same producer as Homeland and Hatufim. I don't know if that's if you're talking about the Dark Crystal or the Spy. If watching TV fits with your personal Shabbat observance, I definitely suggest those. People keep asking me about Shtisel. And personally, what are you doing here? I'm selling a one-up life heart for 50 coins. How did you know? I guess if you get killed like several times, you're like, hey, why don't you buy an extra heart? I feel a little bit like patronized right now. How did you know I need a one-up life heart because I can't beat this guy? Let's see. Thank you for all your input. I appreciate it. If I may offer some advice, the centipede is invulnerable when glowing orange. Okay, so I should stop shooting it then. So just focus on dodging until he stops glowing and don't worry about shooting at him. Very cool. The Dark Crystal horrified me as a kid. I was really into it. I could never like finish it. I don't know how it ends. I always fell asleep first. But my wife can't even like look at the thumbnail that's on Netflix of that because it's got like that big-eyed elfling or gelfling, and she's like, ugh, it just kind of weirds me out a little bit. But I sort of got sucked into it. A world of puppetry in LA, so every scene now just blows my mind. So I'm gonna check it out when I'm home alone. Okay, I've got a one-up heart. Maybe I could be. It's like first time I played this game, the center. I beat this guy like that. I thought it was gonna be easy again, but apparently my head's not in the game right now. Skip that mess. What the falafel? You gotta wake up awful early to fool Mr. Furley. Put yourself in the toilet, give yourself a swirly. This little Beastie Boys line there for you. Good Jewish hip-hop group. Perfect. Not. Just wait, Toro. You go on with your bad self there, Centipede. Alright, get up on the wall so I can shoot guns at you. Again, I didn't really like the gun shooty games, but this is a cartoon cannon and a mechanical centipede, so I don't know how that fits into the Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? No! Haha. Tanks. Tanks for nothing. Whoa, he's freaking out right now. I've been shot by a tank. I'm a centipede. That was only a 2-fer, not a 3-fer. And a multi-moon. Look at that. Got people sharing some great recommendations of live streaming synagogue services out there. If anybody's in the Pasadena area, you can meet me at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center tonight at 7:30. We're there tomorrow at 9:30, all Pacific times. Let's see. Okay. Finish this level. I'm going to see what's up in Metro City, and then I'm going to call it a day. It's been really great learning with you guys today. Some great questions about being Shomer Negia and fish and dairy together, which I will celebrate by going having fish tacos for lunch with Jerry. Some great questions about the high holidays and getting involved in the community. What to do if the ticket prices seem a little bit daunting. what the ticket prices are for. People say tickets for services. What is this, the Super Bowl? Well, for praying, yes it is. But in any case, if you should contribute to the community if you can, just because of the investment required to put on good services. If you can't, don't let that be a barrier to entry. Please reach out to the synagogue you want to be a part of and say, can you help me out a little bit? And I'm going to say 99 times out of 100, they'll say, no problem, let's figure this out so we can all celebrate together. So it's been my great joy and my honor to learn with you today. And let's see, we'll see what's going on here, and then we're going to peace out. Bowser must have gotten away in the scuffle. We should probably get back to chasing him. Okay, let's look around the city for some power moons. So now that we're free to explore the city, we will do that next Friday on Fun Friday. Stay tuned for Monday. Monday, I'm working with, trying to get involved with the Beit Din this coming Monday to help people out of, out of and into different Jewish situations. So watch the skies for that. Check out the channel here, twitch.tv/JewCurious. That'll have a little countdown clock to whenever our next show is. We might not be having one next Monday, or it might be at a different time. So check that out. We will definitely be reconvening for Fun Friday 1 week from right now. And really happy to learn with you, as always. Find a place to celebrate high holidays. Look for live streaming services and things like that if you're not close to a place. And whatever questions you have about the high holidays coming up, if you didn't catch me on Twitch, please feel free to reach out to me. You can connect with me through various social media platforms. Happy to help you out. Want to make sure you have the best High Holy Day experience ever. And until next time, heroes, peace.